Oh, we are live. Hello and welcome to another live session. I hope that you're doing okay. I am so glad to be here because this is a topic that I hold very dear to my heart because this is something that as an adult, I realize the several gaps that I arrived adulthood with, and I wish that I had learned some of these things when I was younger. So I am not permitting myself to make the same mistake with my children, and that is why I'm very passionate about teaching parents how to teach life skills, how to nurture life skills in their children. I hope that you have been following the series that we have had so far on raising responsible children. Yes, we have been learning about how to raise responsible children. I'm sure that this particular topic has been very sumptuous food for thought for some of us because there are some things that we have dissected in this series that really is thought provoking. And I hope that you've had time to digest, to reflect, and to be able to extrapolate those lessons to your own parenting, to your own home practices, to see where you need to make adjustments. So today we're going to be talking about nurturing life skills. And in this particular class, we're going to look at how to teach skills from daily life experiences, but also how to teach finance skills. Yes, this is another big one as well, because the scriptures tell us that money answers all things. So I think that there is one skill that we need to intentionally teach our children that most of us never got the chance to learn, because any interest in money when we're growing up was you were treated like someone who loves money too much, and you were made to believe that that is a bad thing, right? So it's not a bad thing, because money answers all things. It is the love for money that is the root of all evil. So being interested in money is not a bad thing. So there's we need to have some mindset shifts to be able to truly understand why we need to be intentional about teaching our children about money. So if you've had this class before, mind you, you're going to hear some fresh nuggets in this session because, of course, we always try to update to make sure that we are bringing you updated information that can enable you to keep up with what it is that you need to be doing for your kids in this day and age. Again, if you are here, please announce on your forum, whichever that is, whether you're from the TR tribe or from the PPHP community. Let someone else know that we are live so that they can tune in as well. All right. So we have good network today. I'm looking forward to having a smooth sailing session with you, especially because we are dissecting a very important topic. So this is part one. Next week, which happens to be our last live lesson, which comes up next week Thursday, is going to be we're going to tackle the part two of life skills, because it's a lot that we need to. There's some other pertinent skills that we need to talk about. We can't squeeze all of that into one live session. So for today, we're just going to look at life skills, teaching life skills through day-to-day home practices, but most importantly, looking at how to teach finance skills to our children, how to nurture those skills, how to raise financial gurus, raise children who are financially smart, who are able to make wise money decisions. There are most of us who till today are still making foolish money decisions. For me, I began my journey making smart money decisions in my 30s. As embarrassing as that may sound, that is very true, because we always just think that money is something that if you can spend, then it means you know about it. If you know how to count your change, you know about it. If you know how to calculate or negotiate how much you should be paid at your job site, it means you know about money. There is a whole depth to money. In fact, it's a whole topic that I encourage every adult out there to intentionally educate themselves about. You'll be shocked at how much you are leaving on the table, how much is seeping out through the cracks just because you are a money illiterate. Yes. So money literacy is a thing. All right. So I hope that as we go through this session today, if you have comments, if you have questions, you can always drop them in the comment section, or you can ask them on the forum live. Please pull someone else to join the class today. Don't be here by yourself. Announce on the forum, whichever forum you belong to, that we are here so others can come in and join and be able to engage in this live session. So I'm going to be talking firstly about how to teach life skills, using day-to-day practices. The thing about life skills is the fact that you don't need to segregate your child in a special classroom just to teach them life skills. Everyday living is an opportunity, in fact, gives you diverse opportunities to teach different life skills. The reason why many parents are not actually teaching these skills is because they are not aware, right? Remember I said in today's lesson that you are an open book. how you're living your life, the decisions you're making, the things you're doing or not doing. They're all lessons for your children. So every day you are presented with opportunities to teach and nurture different life skills in your children. But what makes the difference now would be your knowledge of what it is that you should be teaching and how to take advantage of those different life scenarios, those different life experiences that you have on a day-to-day basis, and how to use them to your advantage to teach your child some of the life skills we're going to be talking about, in the coming weeks. And one of the things that happens again, following this series, because this is well connected to the series we've been studying, which is raising responsible children. A responsible child is not a child who is good. This is about being skillful. You can be good and yet you lack skill. Please don't mistake goodness for skillfulness. They're not the same thing. All right. You can be good and foolish. You can be good and still lack skill. You can be good and still fail to thrive. If you look around you, you see that some of the people who are struggling around you are not necessarily bad people, right? Some of the bad people are even thriving. Some of the bad people are even doing well. But some of the good people who are really good, they have good intentions. They still struggle in a lot of areas. Why? When you look at life skills, look at certain pertinent life skills that they are lacking in, it will help you understand why these good people may be struggling. So you may be good, but if you still lack skill, you will not be spared from struggle. Now, research was done. There's lots of research out there that is, emphasizing the same message, that one of the overwhelming, things that a child needs to learn or needs to have to enable them thrive in adulthood is life skills. Life skills is the number one predictor for success in adulthood. The more life skills a person has, the more they are likely to succeed, to thrive as an adult. This is why this is non-negotiable. All right, this is non-negotiable. That's why if you're here and you're still looking at chores as something that you're bothering your children with, then you need to rethink that whole situation. You need to rethink that whole situation. All right, so I'm going to share my slides with you. Sorry, I didn't realize I had not done so before now. I'm sharing my slides so that you can follow along as we go. I hope that you can see them. They're coming up any moment now. Please, as soon as you can see my slides, kindly let me know. Let me ensure that you are following along. Let me know as soon as you can see my slides, please. Can you see my slides? Please let me know. You should be able to see them by now. Please let me know if you can see my slides. For those who are here, kindly let me know if you can see my slides. That helps me know that transmission is in order and I can proceed. Thank you so much. All right. So happy that you can now see my slides. Let's carry on. So we're going to be looking at how to use day-to-day life experiences to teach your child certain simple but pertinent life skills. Thank you. All right. Now, first of all, let's just try to situate or understand when we talk about life skills, what are we referring to? When you think about your life as an adult and the things that you have to do, adulthood is about responsibilities. It's about being able to lead yourself. In fact, making decisions is the hallmark of adulthood because it's all about taking responsibility for yourself, for others, making decisions on a day-to-day basis. So the set of skills that enables you to make these decisions wisely are referred to as life skills. All right. So these are abilities that help you be able to manage yourself, relate with others, but also make wise decisions. That's what we refer to as life skills. So it's going to affect, relationship skills, social skills, finance skills. There are different kinds of skills that you need to have as a child, that you need to teach your child, or have as an adult to enable you to thrive. And some of these things will also go to include things like time management, right? How well you manage time, how well you problem solve, how resilient you are in different life scenarios, right? How resilient are you? How financially literate are you? What is the depth of your understanding of money and how it works? What's your understanding of, people and how to work with them, how to relate with them? All of these things come together to determine how well a person is going to thrive as an adult. And you will agree with me that there are people who are full-grown adults, who seem to be doing well career-wise, but are still lacking in so many of these things, which has resulted in so much struggle. You can see somebody who's successful maybe in sports, and when you look at their family life, it's a mess. All right. So it's important that we are attentive to how we are nurturing, a full range of these skills for our children, because they're going to need each and every one of them. Again, I said that research has proven that executive function skills, these life skills, are a great predictor for success in adulthood. So the more of these skills your child is able to master and possess by the time they enter adulthood, that's a very high predictor of the fact that they will succeed as an adult. Because to make decisions, you need to be skillful at making decisions, at making wise decisions. All right, decisions that lead to positive outcomes more than negative outcomes. So I love Proverbs 22 verse 6, because again it tells us, train up our children in the way that they should go, so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. So this training has to include equipping your child for life. All right, equipping your child. Your child may be able to quote every Bible scripture, but if they lack these skills, they are still going to struggle. Remember, I said it is not goodness that is a predictor of success, because you can be good and foolish, you can be good and lack skill, you will still struggle. I'm sure you must have met someone who is so good, so nice a person, but they are really struggling, all right, because they lack some of these basic skills that is limiting them, in how they are navigating life as an adult. So these skills are not optional. It's not something that you can say, oh, I'll teach when they are already adults, or they will learn it on their own. Most of us had to learn some of these things on our own. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that it came with a lot of injury. I don't know about you, all right? But learning these things as an adult comes with a lot of injury. It comes with a lot of injury. Imagine going to a carpentry shop and refusing to be trained, and you want to just go and make your own furniture. You're going to hurt yourself, all right? Because you don't know, you've not mastered how to handle the equipment safely. So learning these skills as an adult will result in lots and lots of destruction, not only of, what concerns your child, but other people as well. So it comes with a lot of injury for both your child and others. So the earlier you teach them, the better. All right. Now let's keep moving. All right. So when we talk about day-to-day life experiences and how we can use them to build some of these skills I talked about, right? Resilience, problem solving, your child being able to work as a team player, all of those things. When we talk about how to use day-to-day life experience, you're going to realize that this is something that you face opportunities like this every single day. Raising your children, particularly if you have more than one child, you have lots and lots of golden opportunities to teach your children about how to relate with others. I tell my I think I tell parents that have been with me for a while, I think they've heard me say this a couple of times, that raising your child amidst siblings is a blessing, because your siblings are your training ground, right? The way they tease you, the way they look for trouble, all those things, they trigger your emotions, they fight. Those things are preparing you for what you're going to face out there, because there's no individual on this earth that will not meet adversity when they go out there. So adversity starts from home. That's an opportunity for you to train your children how to navigate adversity, how to handle adversity without breaking others and without breaking themselves in the process. So it's important. So when you see it from this perspective, right, when we do sibling rivalry, you see that it's a blessing because it's training ground. But for most of us growing up, right, this sibling rivalry for some families ended up in complete discord, complete separation, because the parents were not able to guide the children in navigating it properly so that it yields fruit instead of pain. Right? So when these experiences come, if you lack the knowledge on how to use them to the advantage of your child, it will actually cause pain or bring destruction. So responsibility grows in these ordinary routines that we have in our homes, waking up in the morning, cleaning up yourself, participating in family prayer, participating in chores. Maybe you have to work with your siblings. Sometimes you assign two people to a task just to help them learn how to work as a team and things like that. So these are all opportunities that helps your children be able to prepare for what they're going to experience in life. Just a moment. What they're going to experience in life. And imagine a child who goes through life without these opportunities every day to practice, how to do chores, how to work with others, how to take instructions, how to cooperate, how to resolve conflict. They're going to end up being an adult that struggles with those things. So the opportunities that your children have today in navigating the circumstances in your home is their preparation ground. All right. But the most important ingredient is you in this entire equation, because what you know and what you're doing with it is what is going to help your child be able to get the fruits out of these experiences. If not, they're just going to be things that happen and pass. All right. So let's take for example chores. There's a lot that you can teach children just from engaging them with chores every single day. For example, resilience. Chores are a big tool for helping your child develop their resilience, because your child will not always feel as doing chores. And as a parent, you must understand that even on the days when they do not feel like, do not indulge them, right? Do not indulge their, oh, I don't feel like doing it today, oh, I'm tired today. No, because life wouldn't do that. All right, they're going to have to use these experiences, these basic life experiences in the home, to prepare them for what's going to happen out there. So assigning chores to your children, switching it up so that they work, as a team from time to time, allowing each child a chance to lead from time to time, holding them accountable for how the work is done, following through with the process to ensure that they're doing it properly. All of these things build lots of different skills in your children: resilience, discipline, right? Doing things to the finish, even when you don't feel like. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to do that. And your children who are going to build this discipline just by engaging themselves in chores on a day-to-day basis. I tell my kids, there is no day when you're going to be off from chores. Not Sunday, not public holiday, not Christmas Day. Every single day, as long as you're under this roof, you will do chores. There's no holiday from chores. So that's a training ground. There's no holiday from chores, because you always need to clean up your mess. You always need to clean up after yourself. You always need to chip in to where you find yourself per time. So there are so many things kids are learning, right? They learn planning, they learn sequencing, they learn follow through, they learn I think, all the executive function skills. You have planning, you have problem solving, you have follow through. Those are all parts of the executive function skills, right? All of them can be learned just by engaging your kids with chores every day. You're building the executive function skills. And again, the executive function skills are a key predictor for success in adulthood. Now, the second thing you can teach children very easily through day to day life is money management. Money is something that is single day in the home. The resources you get, the small supplies you get maybe from the nearby provision store, you stop by at food items to prepare the meal, you're budgeting, maybe you're preparing, I don't know, the kids' snacks for the week. There are so many things that happen in your home on a daily basis that have to do with money, that require advantage of these things to teach our children about money. For example, you have a budget of 15,000 francs to cook a meal, and you have a Okay, we are back. All right, I'm great. I'm sure you can see me. So, there's a question coming in. We're going to answer that segment. I'm going to answer that question. Okay, thank you for asking that. It's a very pertinent question. So, I was at the level of chores and I was saying chores alone, just by engaging your kids in chores on a day-to-day basis, without exemption, right? It teaches them you're nurturing. One of the things, one of the reasons why I believe parents are on the fence when it comes to chores is because growing up we felt that it was punishment, particularly because most of our parents, particularly the dads, they would just sit there, lounge on the couch, you're not doing anything, you're just there doing all the work. You want to rest a bit, they call you, send you, they give you tasks at every odd moment. And it actually feels burdensome. Chores felt to me like punishment growing up. So one of the things that you have to adjust to be able to help you utilize the opportunity properly for your children is that you have to first of all shift your mindset. Ask yourself, am I seeing chores as punishment for my kids, as suffering, or am I seeing it as an opportunity for them to grow, for them to learn, for them to prepare for life tomorrow? When you start seeing it like that, you realize that every time your child puts up an attitude or your child, starts whining, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to do it today. Can I not just rest today? I'm doing exams, I'm doing this, can we not just leave it? It helps you to know what to tell them. Right? It helps you to know what to tell them exactly. So money management as well, like I was saying before we had the breach in the network, is something that you have lots of opportunities every day to teach your kids about money, to bring them along when you handle money. All right. And one of the reasons why we do not do this is because one, we think, since I'm the one making the money, since the money is in my hands, you don't even think about it so much. I'm the one responsible for these children. They are still small. I should just spend the money. They ask, you give. Mama, I want to go and buy bread, you give. Mama, can I have some biscuit? You give. Mama, I need the new PS5, you give. So you're now the ATM. You're just, dishing out the money, particularly for parents who are financially endowed. So you're just dishing it out. And these kids I believe that my father had a money tree somewhere in his room. All right, because when we're much younger, you ask, you get it. You ask, you get it. It's true that things got tough along the line. So we started seeing some, changes in how easily he gave it out. But growing up, all right, and I paid a huge, in fact, I've paid lots of heavy prices for my ignorance when it comes to finance. Well, most of us here can relate as well. So the next thing is natural consequences. Not rescuing them, allowing them from some of the decisions that they are making, all right? Like handling their things, following rules in a system, within a system, like at school or even, at the public place where you attend. Certain things that naturally come to children did not all because they made a poor choice. All right. It's an opportunity for your child to learn that yes, forgiveness will come or might come in some cases, but it will not take away the consequence. So I gave you money, to use for the whole week for transportation or maybe for your feeding, for those who are, doing that with their teenagers. And by Tuesday, you're telling me, oh, mom, I lost the money. Can I get more transport to go to school? And of course, bank, oh, what happened? And then the bank just removes it again and then gives another fresh measure. What does the child learn? Well, I don't need to be so careful with the money. After all, if I lose it, my parent will just give me another one. All right. So those are things that we indirectly communicate to our children just by responding like that to certain careless decisions that they make. Your child becomes wiser when you draw certain boundary lines and you hold them tight. Not because you're a mean parent, but because you understand that that is how they will learn lessons that will shape them for life. So, natural consequences are very, very important for helping your children learn life skills, learn how to make better decisions, learn decision making. It's a life skill. All right, it's a life skill, and learn to be accountable, but also learn to manage their emotions. Because one of the things that children, are going to need to learn as they grow up is the fact that emotions, in particular, will cause them to lose a lot of things. Think about the toddler. who gets angry, throws the banana on the floor, and gets angry that the banana is on the floor and they can't eat it anymore. Or when you pick it up to throw it away. Or think of your 9-year-old who gets upset, breaks their toy, starts crying, comes to you to please get another one. What do you do then? If you can get another one, do you just buy another one, or do you let that be a teachable moment, a teaching moment about the fact that yes, you can be angry, but when you destroy things, you don't get them back. When you hurt people, you can push them away for life. Those are all teaching moments that come from basic, day-to-day experiences that happen within the home. Another thing that happens that within our home that we can leverage to teach skills is choices. Giving your children the opportunity to choose. The dictator parent, it doesn't even occur to you to let your children choose. That's why you see parents, even with teenagers, who are still doing every single thing for the child. There's something wrong with your parenting. There is something seriously, heavily wrong with your parenting. If you're still deciding or making all decisions for your teenager, especially they're a big teen, 16, 17. We have parents who still usurp all authority at that level. They give the child no autonomy whatsoever. You are raising an adult. You're raising your child to become an adult that will depend on you, or that will make lots of foolish decisions, because the best time to fail is childhood. There is no better time in the lifespan of a human being where failure has the least consequences than during childhood. So the reason why we are deciding for our children all the time and not wanting to give them choices, including the possibility to make a poor choice and then learn from it, is because we are afraid of them failing. We are afraid. We are so afraid. We are even more afraid than the child of their failure. That they grow up with a sense of lack of awareness of the consequences of failure that comes from poor decision making, because you're constantly propping them up. You're constantly rescuing them, constantly supporting them, constantly breastfeeding them, that they cannot even stand on their feet. Giving choices is a big part of preparing your child for life to thrive tomorrow as an adult. Just allowing them to be able to make choices within limits. Emphasis on that, please. Every choice must have a limit, because purposeful parenting is not about democracy. It's not a democracy. It's a monarchy, right? There is hierarchy. You are the authority figure, and that must always be clear at every point. All right. Yes, give choices, but give limits for those choices. Give your child two things to choose from. Don't say go and decide, because there's a chance that what they choose might not align with what you think was the right thing to do within the limits of your values. So give choices within limits. You either do this or you do that. You either do it now or you do it after this. So give a limit. That helps children learn the place of authority in every system where they find themselves, but also it helps them exercise their choice making muscle. All right. So it builds their autonomy. It helps them become better at making judgment. Right. It helps them remember that your child's judgment faculty of their brain only develops fully when they're 25. So you have to keep exercising it. All right. You have to keep exercising it. Let your child learn from experience, from practice, how to make choices. It starts with small choices and then it spills over into bigger choices. To the point where your child gets to university and they can tell you for sure, this is the university I want to attend, this is what I want to study. There are so many kids who get to that level and they're still so confused. They do not know how to decide. They turn to their parents to decide for them. The parents choose for them, and then they are miserable for the rest of their lives because that's not what they are passionate about. So offer two appropriate options, not unlimited freedom. You must define limits for choices. All right, and you can let your child know that it's only this or that. That positions you as the authority figure. It reminds your child that this is not a power struggle, this is not a debate. I'm giving you the liberty to choose, but I'm also determining the scope within which those choices can be made. Because one of the things that you must teach your children is how to honor your authority over them as their parent. But again, even authority must not be abused. But that's not the scope of what we are learning today. All right. So now let's go further. Let's talk about finance. Let's talk about finance while we still have some time because we don't want to use up all the time before we talk about this oh so important topic. Before we jump into finance, I'm going to answer the question that came in from Mama Hina. So she's asking, what can you tell parents who exempt their kids from chores because the kids are writing official exams, teenage kids? You know, one thing that I often tell parents who ask me this question is the fact that when in your life as an adult are you excused from your responsibilities? Because when are you excused from your responsibilities as an adult because life is happening? Never. All right? You still get to have to make decisions. You still have bills to pay. You still have things that you need to do as an adult. So chores is not, again, back to this question. The reason why this parent is looking at chores as something that can be paused and replayed, because of exams, is because they are thinking of it as punishment, overburdening, not related to exams even. They don't look at it as another kind of school. Many parents are shocked to learn that chores actually helps children perform better in the classroom. Because hey, through chores you learn time management, through chores you learn planning, through chores you learn how to follow and execute instructions. Are those not all skills that are learned that are used or required during exams? So the child who is building their EFS through chores gets to be, better positioned to do well at their exams. So what you can actually do if you find out that maybe there is a big clash between the academic curriculum or the academic program and the work the child has to do, we ask the child to get involved. Okay, when do you think we can schedule this? Be flexible and see if you can move things around, if you can provide support, but do not take it all away because that's a big learning point for your child. How to manage time when they have exams to do what they need to do. Because in university, if your child is living by themselves, who is going to come and pause, their care of the environment because they are writing exams? Will they live like a pig during that week because they have exams? That's irresponsibility. So you need to think ahead. Think about how the things you decide, the message you're passing to your child when you do things like this. You're telling them that, oh, so there are points in life when other things are big things are happening, you can pause the small things. They no longer matter because you have something big coming up. No. The skillful person will be able to manage those things, becomes better at planning their time, being able to delegate, define their task carefully to be able to accommodate those things. Those are moments for you to instead help your child learn to do those things efficiently. All right. So it's not punishment. Yes, you might lighten the load a little bit, but essentially your child should at least clean up after themselves, whether they're exams or not, whether they have nannies or not. Cleaning after themselves is the basic thing that they can do, and it still supports their learning. All right, by teaching them those executive function skills that they can also use that supports the exams and learning in the classroom as well. So let's talk about finance. I hope I answered your question, Mama. Let's talk about finance for a moment before we wrap up this class today. All right. Now, I think I don't need to preach to you anymore why finance skills are so important. We are all adults here. We've all had our moments of, I was foolish, right? I don't know if there's anybody here who was born a financial guru, who has never had a moment of financial foolishness where they felt so silly, at the things or how easily they were scammed, or how easily they were scammed or taken for a ride when it comes to finance. These days we have what peer-to-peer groups, we have all kinds of things out there, telling you, oh, come and put your money here, it multiplies overnight, you get times three of what you put in rocket science time, and you are jumping for it, you fall for it, and they keep scamming you, and yet you're not learning. Or those who are earning, you know, substantially and still are struggling financially. All right. Those are all pointers that there's a huge financial literacy gap. So many of us had to learn about money, myself included, right? After 30 years of foolishness. I mean, gross, brain shaking foolishness. I mean, the kind of foolishness that when I look back at it today, I'm like, sir, I was really, really stupid. Well, I was ignorant. I think that's a better word. I was really ignorant. But what baffles me the most is how I was confident in my ignorance. You tell yourself that you know money, you know. You know how to handle money, even if you're saving. Savings is not proof of financial literacy. On the contrary, it shows that there is still a gap of how to build wealth. All right, this is not a financial lesson. We are here to learn about how to teach our children. So many of us have learned about money the hard way, and some have still not learned. All right, even or in spite of the many negative experiences they've had, in spite of the struggles that they're going through, they have still not learned. It is hard to teach something that you do not master. It's hard to teach something that you're not practicing. That's why no matter how many of these lessons you take, if you don't go the extra mile to build your own financial literacy, not only will your relationships suffer, not only will you continue to struggle, and your kids even might be put, in a situation of jeopardy, but you will not be able to teach your children because you yourself do not grasp the whole concept properly. So imagine that children could fail and learn, especially with money, right? Would you rather your child tries, to start a business at 15 with 100,000 francs, maybe of their own savings, all right, and fail at that business, but also learn from that failure at 15, and then try again at 16, 17, maybe with double that amount, still fail at that point, but also learn. By the time they are 20, after having had 10 failures, most of the people who are doing so well financially in the world today have had a series of failures. So success is not, something that happens without failure. So the more a child can feel as a child, the better for them, especially when they have someone beside them who is wise, who enables them to helps them to draw the lessons out of those failures. That is a blessing indeed. So imagine your child could fail and learn about finance at during childhood when the stakes are low. They don't have school fees to pay, they don't have bills to pay, they have no responsibilities yet. That's when they are learning to invest. That's when they are learning how to handle money. Money, you don't learn to handle money by just hearing about it, it's by practicing, right? Learning how to earn, to spend, to save, to give. We're going to look at that. So, money touches every area of our lives. So, if we're not teaching our kids about money, we are preparing them to struggle. That one is not even debatable. If you're not teaching your kids about money intentionally, you are also intentionally preparing them to struggle as adults. Because financial illiteracy does not spare anyone. It doesn't show favoritism to skin color, to family bloodline, it doesn't matter. If you are financially illiterate, there are certain struggles that you must embrace. Hopefully you learn along the way. So if you're not intentionally teaching your child how to thrive financially, you're intentionally preparing them to struggle as an adult. All right. So wise financial decisions are born from practice, trying, failing, doing it here, learning about this one, trying this new one. Let kids practice as much as they can while they are young, while the stakes are low, so that when they become adults, they will not be injured in the process. The stakes are so high. Think about people who have lost millions to scammers or to people who promise to double their money. If you are financially literate, you know that those things, well, then somebody tells you that, you already run away because you finally learn that money doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't double overnight. All right, it doesn't double overnight. So denying children access to money only delays their learning. Most of us are struggling today because we were taught in childhood, we were told we were reprimanded in childhood when we tried to handle money that langa money or I for money. I don't know how they usually say. There are different ways that parents to say those things. So you over like money, and they made you feel bad for having interest in money. But you don't know that interest in money is the key to financial literacy. Interest in money. I have my own experiences with this particular issue that can help me thrive financially. Those things that will 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 help me thrive financially. So imagine your child learning how to handle money intentionally, practicing, learning how to handle money intentionally, practicing, learning Okay, we are back. Trying to get my slides back online. Showcase or be telling of the fact that a child lacks guidance financially is the fact that when you give a typical child 10,000 francs, the first thing they do is that they want to rush to the store and buy all the sweet treats that they can lay their hands on. Spend every single penny of the money that they have received. That shows if your child is 12 and still doing that, right? So I hope you can see my slides. Now, before we go into that, there are core concepts, basic concepts that every child has to be able to start from when you're teaching your kids about finance. Now, so I was saying that there's some core principles that you need to be able to start from when you're teaching your kids about finance. Kids must learn that money is earned. It doesn't grow on trees. One of the things I'm particularly concerned about, particularly for those who are living in certain areas of Cameroon, is the exponential growth of scammers. And with small boys, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These are not kids that are coming from, rich homes where maybe their parents are just old, excessively wealthy. These are kids coming from poor backgrounds. These are kids coming from average family backgrounds, not necessarily very rich, with hardworking parents. How do hardworking parents raise children who completely have a disregard for the integrity concepts of money? That they now prioritize just, trying to steal from other people. And the numbers are growing. It means that something is lacking from the root. There is something that these hardworking parents, good homes, that have godly values are still raising scammers. How? Where are they coming from? So when we raise our children to believe that whatever they need they can have, whatever they want they can get, your job is just to give them money, their job is just to ask, without really educating them about how money comes to be, about the integrity of work, the value of work, the value of sweat. We raise individuals that do not want to do work to get money. They don't want to do work to get money, they just want to get it easy as it was when they used to ask for it from you when they were younger. So money doesn't grow in their parents' pockets or their purses, right? You have to create small earning opportunities for your children outside of chores. Again, do not pay your children for chores. It's a setup. Don't do it. All right. If you do it, you're going to create entitlement that you struggle to undo. All right. Don't pay your children for chores. You can pay your children for crafts. You can pay your children for extra tasks, extracurricular activities, things that they do outside of the norm, things that they do that you would normally pay someone else to do. For example, if you have to pay a yard man and you have a teenager who says, I can do the job, you hire them and then you pay them that money. All right. You had a document that needed to be typed, and your child can help you type it up in your computer. You pay them for that task. So they can see that their skills is what you exchange, is the value that they're exchanging for money. So, things that help children understand that what is exchanged for money is not your body, is not trying to find a way to sneak out what someone else has worked for, but it is value. You have to bring value to the table to be able to get money. The next concept is spending. You have to teach children about how to spend. Children cannot learn to handle money without proper lessons on how to spend. The sad news is so many of us adults do not know how to spend. So many of us are impulsive buyers. So many of us are people that don't think, don't calculate. When we have it, we spend it, then we start figuring out where did the money even go. I grew up seeing my dad do that. He would enter into supermarket, buy stuff, and then come later and start struggling with school fees. Not because he was not properly paid, he was paid handsomely. But as I grew up and I began to learn about money, I began to identify some of the errors he was making at that time, and understand that this is why he struggled. As a bank manager for years, he struggled with finance. Not because he was not paid handsomely for years, but because he lacked the financial literacy. You can literally be an accountant and still be very, very terrible at handling money. You can literally be a banker and yet your debt is higher than the highest debtor of your bank. Because handling money, in an institution does not necessarily qualify you or mean that you are a financially literate person. How to handle money. All right. So teach them how to spend. That spending without earning leads to debt. How to avoid debt. How to avoid a sense of entitlement. Always teach them how to earn before teaching them how to spend. But usually we teach them how to spend. There are many parents who give their kids pocket allowances without ever having had a lesson with that child on how money works. Big mistake. You just every week you just dish it out 10,000, 20,000, and you're just increasing. Oh no, now you're in Form 2 now. Let's add the money. You're adding the money based on what? Where is the proof of accountability? Where is the proof of responsibility in handling what they were given previously? So we don't have any criteria for first giving them our children money. Neither do we have any criteria for increasing the amounts that we are giving. We just give it based on you passed your exams. Let's add your money. You are now 16. Let's add your money. Age is not a factor for measuring responsibility. You can be old and grossly irresponsible. All right. So teach children that money can grow wings and literally fly away and it will not come back. Because once you spend it, it's gone. All right. Once you spend it, it's gone. The third concept is budgeting and wise spending. Budgeting is so important. And we do this every day. Mothers, we do this every single week at least over some month. Right? When you're going out to buy groceries from the store or from the supermarket or from the market to buy fresh produce, you do listing, you do a list, you budget. Your market money for that week is maybe 40,000 francs. And you have a list that you have to draw up. You need this, you need that. But we never get our kids involved. Even the teenagers that are loafing around the house, they do not even know how to budget and plan the ration money for the week. The 40,000 francs meant for the meal for the week. They have no clue how to do it. You give them, they'll be clueless. That's why every Wednesday, one of the tasks we've been giving out are still going to come up is get your kids involved in not just cooking a meal, but in planning it, shopping for it, and then preparing it. Because in that particular process, there are financial skills. Because the child will have to learn how to manage a budget that you give them for that meal. So the things we're doing every day, the day-to-day task, each one of them is carefully calculated to help your child develop a particular skill. So don't ignore them. All right? So budgeting and wise spending, show them how to work with what they have. because the typical tendency will be to want to spend more than you have. I mean, all kinds of adults that come to me daily to buy stuff. And I can tell those who are financially literate from those who are not, you know. So you see, these are not things that just happen overnight. These are things that start from when we are children. You go to the supermarket and you want this, you want that. And what we tell you if you have a financially endowed parent, they just indulge and indulge and indulge. So you don't learn how to work with what you have. You're always trying to go above what you have. Because when you learn to work, you teach a child how to work with a budget. What they learn is how to prioritize their needs over their wants, which is a very huge part of financial skills. It teaches them contentment. So I want the shoes for 60,000, but I only have 40,000 francs. It means I cannot afford those shoes. I need to find another that fits my budget, not come to mom to add the money. So the fourth one is saving and goal setting. Yes, kids need to start learning how to save, and it's never too early to teach kids how to save. But it should not just be saving; it should also be saving and investing. It's not too early to teach a child how to invest. Let children see how money can yield returns, how money actually multiplies. It's not by giving somebody on the children tells you bring your money, I'll double it. Teach your children early that money multiplies when we invest it wisely, not when we spend it. Because when you spend it, it flies away. When you invest it, it grows. They need to learn it early. I wish I learned this particular one as a child because the amount of money that has passed through my hands and just flown away is mind blowing. All right, in my 20s, it's mind blowing. And I have nothing to show for it until I got to my 30s. So it's mind blowing. The things that, the simple lessons that our parents would have helped us to prepare us for adulthood that we were not taught. And mostly because they themselves do not even know it. And finally, giving. It's a big part of financial skills. You need to teach kids how to give. There is a how to give. I'm sure one of us must have the experience here of how, you have a child who goes to school, their friend begs, oh, I'm hungry. Your child takes their whole lunchbox and gives to the child and comes home and is crying that they're hungry. Yeah, the child has a good heart, but that's a foolish thing to do. So children need to learn how to give. Giving is an art. It's something that you need to study. You need to learn how to be a wise giver because there are foolish givers also. Because you can give and give your seed so that you have nothing to plant again. That's foolishness. Because then the person who comes back cannot get anything from you and you yourself are also starving. So teach your children that wealth is for blessing, first to God, then to others, and then move beyond that to teach your children how to be intentional, to give from their own earnings. Not just to come to you, Mama, I'm going for a birthday party. I want to buy a gift for my friend. So can you give me 10,000 francs to go and buy the gift? If your child had savings, that question will not come up. I constantly tell people that when my kids have to do Father's Day or all those other days, they have savings that they dive into. I'm not your bank. It's not my father we are celebrating. It's yours. So please visit your bank, visit your savings. Let's fish from there and use it to celebrate your dad. And they learn. That's where the lessons actually lie. We have about 5 minutes to go. All right, so let's go just briefly. What key things to teach at the different age groups for different age groups? Age appropriate money lessons. What should you be teaching kids at different ages and stages of their growth and development? So firstly, we have 6 and below. All right, this is the stage where we don't even think there's anything to teach. But at this stage, yes, there's something to teach. Even your 2-year-old, my 2-year-old could already, identify the coins. He knew the coins. He knew 50 francs. He knew 100 francs. He knew the different coins. All right. So your child 6 and below should be able to identify all the forms of money, which now includes electronic money. All right. So understand that it's not because there's money in my phone, literally. Because some of them think that there's money in their mother's phone. Like as if there's some paper, something inside the phone. They need to understand it. So you need to teach your kids 6 and below about the different forms of money. Coins, notes, digital. They need to learn it. All right? They need to learn it. They need to learn how to identify the different coins. My kids start going on errands where they are required to use money at age 6. But for my last, we actually shifted it again to age 5 because he was so ready, he was confident that he could handle it, and he did handle his first errand properly, brought back the right change, identified the money he brought and everything. So when you teach children, they will know. This is 100 francs. What it can buy. Understand the value of money. What the different forms of money can buy. All right. So your child will not come, Mama, take 50 francs and go and pay my school fees. Your child will know that no, that is not. When you tell your child this costs a lot of money. Mama, how much? 150,000 francs. Hey, because they understand that that is a huge amount of money. All right. So teach them to understand the value of what money can buy. Introduce savings at this stage. 0 to 6, you introduce savings. Buy them a piggy bank. You know the metal banks or the one they make at the carpenter's workshop, whichever one you can find. All right, let your child start learning to save. When auntie gives you 5,000, don't take it and say, "Oh, okay, mama will go and buy your shoe with it there." No, you are robbing your child of the opportunity to learn. That's their money. Our parents did that to us. Your uncle comes, gives you 20,000 francs, and you're happy. You want to hide your brother. Say, "Bring that money, bring it." I used to I used to go and pay your school fee. Are you the one who is buying food in this house? Don't you eat? Bring the money. Those were opportunities for them to help us learn how to use money. They could have taken that money and said, okay, what do you need for school? We come up with a list. Okay, now you have 20,000 that uncle has given you. So these are your school needs. So we need this. It costs like that. It costs like, okay, so we're going to use this money like that. We take part of it, we buy your school needs. We take part of it, we put it in your bank. That would have been a great teaching moment for most of us growing up. But no, they have to take it and use it to buy whatever the money finally did. We don't even know. I hope you're not doing that as parents. I hope that you're not doing the same things your parents did. All right, so teach them to start saving from 0 to 6. My 5-year-old will come and remind me, Mom, you have not paid me for my creative task. You took it, but you did not pay me for it. You did not put the money in my bank. And it reminds me of what he has to get with what he's saving for. So at that stage, you don't really bother about, trying to say, oh, you have to try to. Just the idea that he can save money towards something is enough at this stage. Right? So, and trust me, your child is not too young to learn it. You just need to get them started. Now, the next stage is the age of 7 to 12. Age 7 to 12, where your children need to start practicing earning. This you can start before then, right? For me, I start with my kids early with earning, with their small creative tasks. I buy it actually, you know. But kids age 7 to 12, your child has to start actively earning money in some way. To devise a system in your home where your child can earn money by rendering certain services outside of their chores. I'm saying emphasize because there are parents who are still doing it. And then tomorrow you come to me with the wahala that comes from there. Do not pay your kids for chores. Don't pay them for chores. All right. So 7 to 12, your kid needs to start practicing how to earn. They need to start practicing how to earn money. I actually often employ my kids in my business. I give them small tasks. That's for my preteen in particular. I give him small tasks. Last year, he was in charge of parceling and labeling parcels that had to go out to different customers who were ordering online. That was his job, and he was paid for every single day. I think at that time I put 500 francs. Please don't judge me. That's what I could afford to pay for that particular role. But he was excited, and because he was earning money, and he was able to earn a good amount that went into his bank towards his project that he had for last year. This year he has a bigger project, even. So there are small things that you can think about that you can actually employ your child to do at home. One of the simplest things for me is creativity, because I want to encourage them to see that their creativity in writing stories, in painting stuff, in building paper craft stuff. If I like it, because I will not buy it if it's not nice. If I like it, I will buy it. We'll bargain. How much are you selling it for? I'll say, it's too expensive. That's how they learn how to trade value for money. So begin practicing those 4 concepts: earning, spending, saving, giving. 7 to 12 should practice all of those 4 concepts. All right. When they earn money, they don't just go and take it and buy sweets and biscuits. Now you bring it to the table and tell them, okay, now you've earned 10,000 francs this week or 5,000 francs this month. What do we do with it? You don't just take it all and put in the bank as well. That doesn't give them a chance to learn. Don't take all their money and put in the bank. That doesn't give them financial literacy. You need to try to practice the 5 concepts they have earned. What do? Part of it goes into savings, 20% giving, 20% saving, 20% project, 40% spending. Of course, because they have needs. And you use it to buy a need. So what is it that you need right now? Do you need maybe what? New slippers, new, so that they can learn to see that when you work money, you have to also take care of yourself. So teach them the needs versus wants principle, because when they now have the 40% to spend, they're going to want to spend it on wants and not needs. I want to buy ice cream. I want to buy, I want it. They always just wanted to, until the money finishes, they will not rest. When it's done, then they now begin to rest. All right. So teach them needs versus wants. You can actually establish a book for your child's earnings, savings, to keep track of their finances. Also, a book that helps you track helps them be accountable for how they're using money. That's a great skill. It's called cash flow. A child is not too young to start learning cash flow. They can start learning. Mom gave me, I earned 5,000 francs this week. At the end of the week, your child is able to tell you, I use 1,000 like this. I use 500 francs like this. That's accountability. And you'll be amazed at how quickly children can learn to do this. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to use the money poorly, carelessly. All right. Again, that is the best time to fail and then learn from it. Right? So, finally, teenagers, the most important group, because at this stage, your child is quarter to exiting your home for adulthood. So, the first thing you want to do with your teenager is to perfect what they learned in the previous stage. If they didn't learn it and you're still starting out, start with the 5 concepts. All right? The earning, the spending, the saving, the giving. Start with that concept. Goal setting, planning projects. So they should perfect those skills. So start from there. Teach them the 5 concepts. Let them practice earning, practice spending, practice giving, practice savings. Right? Give them tasks. Let your children, for example, this holiday period, let your child go and learn a skill. And then when they come back with that skill, be the first to employ them. That's how you encourage it. That's how you help let them see that skill is not wasted. If your child went to learn hairdressing, once in a while, let your child braid your hair, not for free. Pay them so that they can see that skill is valuable. They'll take it more seriously. If your child went to learn computer stuff, employ them to type, to do something, to create something for you. I actually had my son design, a PowerPoint and also design some flyers for me, basic communication flyers when he learned Canva, self-taught. And I was okay, I'm going to pay you, do this task for me, prepare, these are my notes, prepare this, put them, arrange them on slides and give it to me. And I pay for that. So you can see that his time, his skill has earned money. Goal number 2 for teenagers is budgeting for a project. This is a very important one. Let your teenager have an important project that they are working towards. So that when they are working, they are earning money, not to just spend recklessly, but to save up or to invest into that project. It could be something that they want to work on. It could be something that they dream to own, or dream to, maybe a school they want to attend, or something, or a skill they want to acquire. Let the children also learn how to work towards something that they really, really want for themselves. You can tell your child, okay, so you really, really want, to buy, I don't know, let's just say a bicycle, for example. So, okay, if you can bring 60% of the money, I'll support you with 40% or with 20%. That keeps your child motivated. The bicycle costs 120,000 francs. You tell your child, okay, I'll give you 40, but you have to try to bring 80. Of course, you may still, support them a little more, but you want your child to learn that their sweat can actually build towards something that they really want. I can't forget the time my kids saved up to buy their bicycles. That was 2 years ago. The day those bicycles came, it was a day I will never forget. Those lessons were cemented deep into their minds. Because from then, they take savings, projects, earning very seriously. Because they saw what it could do. They saved up money and was able to buy bicycles for them. The bicycles have died long ago. Anyway, so goal number 3 is prioritizing their needs over their wants. The teenager has to learn that. When you have money, you don't just go buy stuff and then come and say, Mom, I need this. But you have allowance. You have money you earn. What have you done? How did you manage it? So take interest in how your child is spending the money you're giving to them. All right? Because that's where the lessons are. That's where the lessons are. So remember that life skills and finance skills are not taught in the classroom. In fact, they don't teach them in school, particularly finance skills. They don't teach them in class. Even those who are learning accounting don't learn it there. Because my father was a banker, but trust me, when it comes to handling money, he was not the best at all, far from it. All right. I know several others who work in the finance sector and that are very, very bad with money. So it's not taught in the classroom. All right. It comes through practice. That's how you build the skill. So every time you give your child money, you give your child chores, don't look at it as ordinary, look at it as an opportunity for them to learn and build different skills. Don't forget that. All right. So there's no time to go over this. If you have any questions, particularly about finance, please feel free to ask before we shut down. Any questions? All right. It means that we have some really, really easy to teach people here today. I'm happy that everything has gone through. Maybe you have questions about how to convert what you've heard into practical things that you can do, practical ideas to have your child earning this holiday. I think I've shared a few pointers of things that you can do. Let your child learn a skill and then you pay them for what they're doing. If your child learn how to make, I think we have one of the testimonies of parents who took this holiday program a couple of years back, and her kids were able to learn a skill, I think beading, and they were able to raise money that paid their school fees in hundreds of thousands. So yes, it's possible. All right. So let your children understand that the skills they learn are not just for passing time during the holidays, but they can actually be monetized. We are living in a world today where kids who are 10 are making millions by learning how to use AI, learning how to do different things. So yes, don't leave your children behind. Don't leave your kids behind. All right. Make sure you're teaching them how to monetize their skills. You're teaching them how to handle finance with integrity. There is a lot for them to learn. So if there are any questions, please ask. If they are known, then I think most of the people are coming in, much later before this point of the lesson. So if there are no questions, then I'm going to shut down. Thank you so much for your kind attention. If you have a question, even sometime later, feel free to ask on the forum. If you're not sure about how to translate what I've just taught on finance in particular into actionable points for your home or with your kids, feel free to ask on the forum so we can actually go over it again. Thank you so much for being here. And please don't forget that the day-to-day tasks are tailored such that your kids can be learning different skills as the holidays are going on. The time is gradually ticking away. So if you're postponing and procrastinating, you are going to miss out on the lots of things that your kids should be learning and building during this holiday season. Take care, and I'll see you again during the next class. Bye.